far as incorporating the sounds of a train in my music, I do that with a harmonica. I can't make a train whistle with my voice. Here we are at the Depot Railroad Museum. It was started here in Salem by a man named Cecil Smith. So he came up with the idea somehow or another to make a replica of the original railroad depot that was here in Salem. 39 high school students built this building. I began to be a railroad modeler in Pekin. That was about 1993. They had the same digital operating system for these trains at the depot that I have in my garage at home. So I could walk right in and volunteer and operate the trains. The person who actually started the whole country music scene, named Jimmy Rogers. He was a railroad man in real life. He had a lot of railroad songs. By songs, I do have a train or railroad background. The railroad was part of life as I grew up. My brother and sister and me, we'd stand by the tracks, and the engineer would let off some steam just to scare us, you know. I was born in Walterboro, South Carolina, 1934. My dad was a farmer. His dad was a farmer before him. And my mother was a housewife, the daughter of a farmer. My mother came from a musical family, and my father came from a musical family. But on my mother's side, it was just a down-home, shin-kicking, foot-stomping time that we got together with banjos and guitars. On my father's side, it was more like studied music. You know, my dad bought a ukulele, and then he just left it there. My sister would mess with it, my brother, myself. We would break a string. He'd just fix it, leave it there again. That's not musical training right there. Just, you pick it up if you want to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. That is the story about how I had an instrument to play on. Anyway, here he is, we isolated on our farm, you know, and I had a prize hog for the 4-H club, and I sold the hog then at auction. So my dad says, "What do you want to do with your money?" And I said, "Well, I want a 5-string banjo from Sears Roebuck." The reason I wanted a 5-string banjo, my grandfather had one, but I could hear on the radio a professional musician named Snuffy Jenkins. I saw him in a local schoolhouse show. And I saw this guy that played with 2 fingers and thumb, and I said, "Hey, that's what I want to do." And there were no books to show you that. And so I'm sitting on the steps with my banjo, trying to figure out what those fingers should be doing. And I stumbled on like a rotation. And I said, "Hey, that's the sound I want right there." By the time, we had to go to church. And so I don't think I heard one word the preacher said. When I got back home, I immediately got the banjo out to remember what I had learned before church. And so the name of the music was not even called bluegrass at that time. One day, somebody at a festival or something introduced Bill Monroe and said, "Here's Bill Monroe playing some of that good bluegrass music." Now, I don't really think about all the playing that I've done. I enjoy playing. Tomorrow I might play at midday for an hour. Yeah, in my career, I've played on 30 songs or more. I recorded for Capitol Records. I made 2 record albums for Folk Lyric Records. One of those records today is handled by the Smithsonian's Folkways. The Dixie Chicks, they recorded one of my songs. I went in the service, and in 1955, I played the banjo 4 nights a week, and the Army even used the banjo to try to get me to re-enlist. They said, "Look at all the money you're making on the side if you're playing the banjo. If we're going to give you another stripe." I said, "No, I think the good old 48 states are calling me back home." So that's what I did. And that's when I got the job with, to play those 4 television shows a week. And so that's why Earl Scruggs hired me to make a separate group from his group. Well, I first met Earl Scruggs in Augusta, Georgia, when I was with Snuffy Jenkins and his group. I was just with them as a 17-year-old, just along for the ride, you know. So I'm learning more about my instrument when I'm playing with these other people, man, see. And that, I think that's the whole thing. As you go through life, and you play with different people, you try to treat the music differently. You try to fit that music with your instrument. And that's what makes you expand. Bryant, Allen lives 22 miles from me. I was going to make this CD back in 2002. I was looking for a guitar player. Bryant, he doesn't just have one style. He adapts to whatever job comes up. It's like working on a Chevrolet, and the more you have to work on a Ford. Isn't that right, Brian? Okay, this is my latest CD, and it was done right here in this depot building, made by Traditional Arts Indiana. And I had Bryant on the guitar. I started teaching in 1974 in Louisville, Kentucky at East End Music. Well, I started teaching banjo because I wanted to quit traveling. There's not much of a home life at all when you travel all the time. I've been teaching probably about 50 years in this area, and I've had 1,000 or more students. I just can't even imagine the number. I've taught age groups like from 8 to 80, all in between. Well, I'm 89. I have to say that I'm thankful to the Almighty for the gift of music. It started with me when I was little. But I'm thankful for all the people that I've met along the way. That I've learned from them as well. And so I am thankful, for sure, about music. And I enjoy teaching because each person that I teach privately, they're all different. They all come from a different background. They all learn differently. That I've taken what I know and passed it down to somebody else. There's no two people that look at the banjo alike. There's no two people that look at anything alike in life. And that's what I've learned the most about. And that's what I enjoyed the most about. I think if I had all banjo students that were exactly alike, learning the same tune, I think I might quit.